My name is Camille Grayson and I'm 25 years old. The first time my father called me useless, I was standing in our kitchen, holding a cracked mug I'd accidentally dropped. It wasn't even about the mug. It was never about the mug. His voice cut through the air like it had been waiting years to say out loud. You don't build anything. You don't earn anything. You just exist. My mother stayed silent, eyes glued to the sink. My younger brother smirked from the doorway, and just like that, a word became my identity in that house. Useless. I grew up in a home where love had conditions and I never seemed to meet them. My father, Richard Grayson, was a self-made businessman, the kind who believed worth was measured in profit margins and power. My brother, Ethan, followed in his footsteps, sharp, confident, and already interning at dad's company by 19. And then there was me, the quiet one, the dreamer, the girl who spent nights sketching ideas and building prototypes no one ever cared to understand. Art doesn't pay bills, Dad would say. Ideas are cheap. Every dinner turned into a comparison, every conversation into a subtle reminder that I was the disappointment. I tried to fit into their world. God knows I tried. I studied business for 2 years just to make him proud, forcing myself through lectures that drained every ounce of passion from me. But every time I looked at spreadsheets, I felt like I was suffocating. So I switched to product design without telling him. When he found out, it wasn't anger I saw, it was something worse. Disgust. You chose to be useless, he said coldly. That night, I packed a small bag and left home without saying goodbye. No one stopped me. Life after that wasn't some inspirational montage. It was messy, painful, and brutally real. I lived in a tiny apartment with peeling paint and worked jobs, one at a cafe and another doing freelance design gigs online. There were nights I cried myself to sleep, staring at my bank balance and wondering if maybe he was right. Maybe I was useless. Maybe I had made the biggest mistake of my life. But then there were moments, small wins, a client who loved my work, a design that actually solved a problem, tiny sparks that refused to die. One evening, everything shifted, though I didn't realize it at the time. I was working late, redesigning a prototype for a smart storage system, something simple, efficient, and scalable. I had been refining it for months, pouring every bit of frustration and determination into it. That night, I submitted it to a global innovation platform, almost as a joke. What's the worst that can happen? I whispered to myself. I hit send and forgot about it. Or at least, I tried to. Meanwhile, back home, I wasn't just forgotten, I was erased. Family gatherings happened without me. Photos were posted online with captions like family first that didn't include me. I heard through a cousin that my father had started introducing Ethan as his only child. That one hurt more than anything. Not the insults, not the rejection, but being replaced like I never existed. Still, I kept going because somewhere deep inside, there was a voice, quiet but stubborn, that refused to agree with him. Months passed, and the struggle didn't get easier. Bills piled up. My laptop crashed twice. I lost a major freelance client and had to skip meals just to survive. There was a night I sat on the floor, back against the wall, staring at the ceiling with tears silently rolling down my face. I can't do this anymore, I whispered into the emptiness. For the first time, I considered going back, apologizing, accepting the label, living under his roof again, even if it meant losing myself completely. But then, my phone buzzed. It was an email. Subject line, "Congratulations, Camille Grayson." I almost didn't open it. My hands were shaking, my heart pounding like it already knew something I didn't. Slowly, I tapped the screen, and in that moment, everything inside me went still. The words blurred, but one number stood out. Impossible to ignore. $58 million. I blinked. Once, twice. My breath caught in my throat as reality struggled to catch up with what I was seeing. The design I had submitted months ago had been selected, not just selected, funded, backed by one of the biggest tech investment groups in the world. They wanted to meet. They wanted to sign. They wanted me. And suddenly, the word useless didn't feel so permanent anymore. But I had no idea. This was just the beginning. The next few days felt unreal, like I was walking through someone else's life. I kept rereading the email, afraid it would disappear if I blinked too long. They scheduled a virtual meeting first, and I remember sitting in my tiny apartment, trying to hide the cracked wall behind me with a bedsheet. When their faces appear on screen, calm, confident, powerful, I felt my chest tighten. "Camille, we've reviewed your design," one of them said, "and we believe it has global potential." For a moment, I couldn't speak. The same ideas my father dismissed were now being called revolutionary. They didn't just want to invest, they wanted a full partnership. Manufacturing, distribution, branding, everything. And they wanted me to lead the design division. I kept waiting for the catch, for someone to laugh and say it was all a mistake. But it never came. Instead, they sent contracts, legal teams, and a timeline that moved faster than anything I'd ever experienced. Within weeks, I went from struggling to afford groceries to sitting in conference calls discussing millions. It was overwhelming, but also deeply, painfully validating. But success has a strange way of reopening old wounds. The more my life started to change, the more I found myself thinking about my father, not because I needed his approval anymore, but because I wanted him to see. I wanted him to remember every word he had thrown at me. Useless, the word echoed differently now, not as pain, but as fuel. Still, a part of me hesitated. Would proving him wrong actually heal anything? Or would it just reopen scars I had barely managed to survive? One afternoon, while reviewing final contract details, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me pick up. "Camille," a familiar voice said. My stomach dropped. It was my aunt. "We hadn't spoken in over a year. Your father is hosting a company gala next week," she continued carefully. "It's a big one, celebrating a major expansion. The whole industry will be there." I stayed silent, sensing there was more. "Ethan mentioned your name," she added. Not kindly, apparently. My brother had been telling people I ran away because I couldn't handle pressure, that I failed at everything I tried, that I was exactly what Dad always said I was, useless. Hearing that should have broken me. A year ago, it would have. But now, something inside me shifted. Not anger, not sadness. Something colder, something steady. For the first time, I didn't feel like hiding anymore. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the city lights through my window. The contract lay on the table beside me, unsigned, but already life-changing. I thought about all the nights I cried, all the moments I doubted myself, all the times I almost gave up. And then I thought about that gala, a room full of people who believed a version of me that no longer existed. Slowly, I reached for my phone and opened the email again. At the bottom of it was a line I hadn't paid much attention to before. "Official signing ceremony can be arranged publicly if desired." My fingers hovered over the screen as my heartbeat picked up. A public signing, a stage, an audience. The same kind of room my father would be standing in, thinking he had everything under control. A quiet breath escaped my lips as a decision formed clear, sharp, and undeniable. For the first time in my life, I wasn't going to prove him wrong in silence. I was going to do it where he could never ignore it. The week leading up to the gala felt like standing on the edge of something irreversible. Every detail of the deal was finalized, every signature ready except mine. My legal team kept asking if I wanted a private signing, something quiet, controlled. But I shook my head every time. "No," I said firmly. "I want it public." They didn't understand the weight behind that decision. The years of silence I was about to break in a single moment. This wasn't just business. This was everything I had swallowed, buried, and survived. I spent hours preparing not just the documents, but myself. I bought a dress that didn't just fit me, it announced me. Deep black, sharp lines, unapologetically bold. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't see the girl who left home with a broken heart. I saw someone who had rebuilt herself from nothing. Still, there were moments of doubt. Late at night, Lying awake, I could almost hear my father's voice again. You'll fail. But this time, it didn't shake me. It reminded me why I couldn't. The night of the gala arrived, and the venue was exactly as I imagined: grand, polished, filled with people who spoke in confidence and power. Chandeliers glowed above polished floors. Laughter echoed through carefully curated conversations. I walked in alone, heels clicking against the marble, every step steady despite the storm inside me. No one recognized me at first, and that was fine. I wasn't there to blend in. I was there to interrupt. Then I saw him. My father stood near the center of the room, surrounded by investors and colleagues, his posture as commanding as ever. Ethan was beside him, laughing, relaxed, wearing the same arrogance I remembered too well. For a moment, time slowed. Memories hit me all at once: every insult, every dismissal, every time I was made to feel invisible. My chest tightened, but I didn't look away. Not this time. I walked closer, quietly, unnoticed, until I was close enough to hear them speak. Some people just don't have what it takes, my father was saying, his tone casual, almost amused. You can't teach drive, Ethan chuckled. Yeah, not everyone is built for success. I felt something settle inside me, not anger, not hurt, clarity. They hadn't changed, not even a little, which meant this moment, this reveal, wasn't just deserved. It was necessary. I stepped back, taking a slow breath, as the event coordinator approached the stage. The announcement came sooner than I expected. Ladies and gentlemen, the host's voice rang out, drawing attention across the room. Tonight, we have a special addition to our program, a major international contract signing, one that represents the future of innovation. A ripple of curiosity spread through the crowd. I saw my father turn slightly, interested but composed. He had no idea, not yet. Backstage, I stood with the contract in my hands, my name printed clearly across the final page. My fingers brushed over it, grounding myself in reality. This wasn't luck. This wasn't a mistake. This was earned every sleepless night, every tear, every moment I chose not to give up. Someone from the team looked at me and smiled softly. Ready? They asked. I paused for just a second, then nodded. As my name was announced, the doors opened, and for the first time in years, all eyes turned to me. The moment I stepped onto that stage, the entire room shifted. Conversations faded, glasses paused midair, and a silence spread that felt almost electric. I could feel hundreds of eyes on me, but there was only one reaction I cared about. My gaze found my father instantly. At first, there was confusion in his expression, then disbelief, and finally, something I had never seen before: uncertainty. Ethan's smile vanished, his posture stiffening as he leaned closer to Dad, whispering something I couldn't hear. But it didn't matter. They knew, or at least, they were starting to. I walked to the center, every step calm, controlled, deliberate. The host gestured toward me with a bright smile. Allow me to introduce Camille Grayson, he announced, the lead innovator behind one of the most promising design systems we've seen in years. A murmur spread through the audience. Louder this time, I heard my name ripple through conversations like a shockwave. My father's face had gone completely still now, like he was trying to process a reality he couldn't reject but didn't want to accept. And for once, I didn't look away. They handed me the microphone, and for a brief second, my hands felt cold, not from fear, but from the weight of everything this moment carried. I looked out at the crowd, then back at my father. Good evening, I began, my voice steady, yet layered with something deeper. A year ago, I was told I had no value, that I didn't build anything, that I was useless. The word hung in the air, heavy, undeniable. A few people shifted uncomfortably. My father's jaw tightened. Ethan looked down. I let the silence breathe before continuing. So I left, not because I agreed, but because I needed to find out who I was without that voice defining me. My grip on the microphone steadied as I spoke, each word clearer than the last. What I found wasn't easy. It was failure, rejection, doubt, but it was also growth. And eventually, it led me here. I gestured lightly to the contract beside me. The number displayed on the screen behind us now impossible to ignore. $58 million. The room erupted into whispers. My father took a step forward, almost unconsciously, as if trying to get closer to the truth unfolding in front of him. I could see it in his eyes now, the realization, the regret he wasn't ready to admit, the collapse of everything he believed about me. But I didn't stop. I wasn't here to soften the moment. I was here to finish it. This contract, I continued, is not just a business deal. It's proof that worth isn't decided by someone else's expectations, and that being underestimated can be the most powerful advantage of all. Then came the twist they never saw coming. One of the lead investors stepped forward and addressed the audience. We'd also like to announce that Camille Grayson will be heading the new design division for this project, he said proudly, and we've chosen to partner with an existing company for manufacturing and expansion. He paused just long enough for the room to lean in. Grayson Industries? The name hit like thunder. My father froze. Ethan's head snapped toward him. I turned slightly, finally facing my father directly, not as his daughter seeking approval, but as someone holding the power he never thought I'd have. Funny how things come full circle, I said quietly, just loud enough for the silence to carry it. The same company that taught me I had no value is now depending on the very thing they dismissed. His lips parted, but no words came out. For once, he had nothing to say. I signed the contract slowly, deliberately, letting the moment settle into reality. Applause filled the room, loud and undeniable, but it sounded distant compared to the quiet shift happening inside me. This wasn't just revenge. It wasn't even about proving him wrong anymore. It was about reclaiming something I didn't realize. I had lost my own voice, my own worth. And as I placed the pen down, I realized something else. I didn't need him to understand. I just needed him to remember. The applause faded slowly, but the silence that followed felt louder than anything before it. People began moving again, conversations erupting in every corner. But there was a strange tension in the air now. I stepped down from the stage, the contract safely in my hands, my heart no longer racing, just steady, grounded. For the first time in years, I wasn't bracing myself for judgment. I had already faced it. I had already survived it. And now, I had outgrown it. I didn't have to look for him. My father was already walking toward me, his steps slower than I had ever seen them. Gone was the commanding presence, the certainty, the control. Up close, he looked smaller, not physically, but in a way that came from realization hitting too late. Camille, he said, my name unfamiliar on his tongue, like he hadn't earned the right to say it anymore. There was a pause, heavy and uncomfortable. I didn't know, he added quietly. I held his gaze, calm but unyielding. You didn't want to know, I replied. Ethan stood a few feet behind him, silent for once, his confidence completely stripped away. I could see questions in his eyes, maybe even regret. But I wasn't here for that anymore. My father exhaled slowly, rubbing his hand across his face like he was trying to erase the moment. I pushed you because I thought it would make you stronger, he said, almost defensively. I shook my head slightly. No, I answered, my voice firm, but not loud. You pushed me because you couldn't see strength unless it looked like you. That truth landed harder than anything else I had said that night. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The distance between us wasn't measured in steps, it was built over years of silence, dismissal, and words that never got taken back. Then he looked at the contract in my hand, his expression shifting again, this time towards something close to desperation. We can fix this, he said quickly. We can work together, properly this time. I almost smiled, but not out of joy, out of clarity, because for the first time, I understood something he didn't. This isn't something to fix, I said softly. It's something to accept. I let the words settle before continuing. I'm not here to rebuild what we had. I'm here because I built something without you. His shoulders dropped slightly, like the weight of that truth finally reached him. There was no anger left in me now. No need to hurt him back, because the moment had already done what it needed to do. He saw me not as a failure, not as a disappointment, but as someone he had completely misjudged. As the night moved on, people approached me, investors, designers, strangers who suddenly wanted to know my story. But my mind drifted somewhere quieter, to that small apartment, to the nights I almost gave up, to the version of me who believed every word he said. I wished she could see this moment, not for the money, not for the applause, but for the peace, the kind that comes when you stop needing validation from the very people who refuse to give it. Before leaving, I took one last look across the room. My father stood where I had left him, silent, thoughtful, changed in a way that couldn't be undone overnight. Maybe someday we would talk again, maybe not. But that wasn't the point anymore. The point was, I walked away once as someone broken by his words, and tonight, I walked away as someone who rewrote them completely. Because in the end, being called useless didn't destroy me. It revealed exactly how powerful I could become.